Hi everybody, it's Dr. 𝒂𝒕 from Rhythm of Life Chiropractic. Today I want to talk to you about one of the key components to whole body health as it relates to preconception care. It is so important that you and your spouse work on getting your bodies in as tip-top a shape before you conceive your child in order to get your baby the best chance to be as healthy as possible. Today I want to talk to you about nutrition. I recommend starting off with plants. Make sure that plants are the majority of what you eat. I have some varieties here that I want to point out to you, and I want to make sure that you pull from three main categories of plant-based foods. The first one is your dark leafy greens. Dark leafy greens could be kale, could be Swiss chard, could be collard greens, could be spinach. I recommend going dark leafy greens because they have more nutrients than your lighter colored iceberg lettuce, for example. Secondly, eat from the rainbow. Try to get multiple colors of plant foods in your diet. You can start with a cup of mixed berries. You can go with just a favorite one if you have a favorite like blueberry or raspberries or strawberries or blackberries. You can throw those in your smoothies. You can just eat them. You can eat them, one at a time. You can pour some coconut milk or almond milk on top. Those are things that I like to do. You can combine them with some almonds and throw that in your smoothie with some greens. You can kind of mix that all together. That's a great smoothie. And other rainbow colors include some of these healthy starches like yellow squash, like carrots, sweet potatoes, and zucchinis. So those are some of the healthier starches that will provide you with some carbohydrates. And you don't have to go crazy with those, but really that's a great source of carbohydrates because those are higher in nutrients than foods like, for example, your noodles or rice or breads. You're going to get a lot more nutrients in these foods in terms of quantity for quantity. The third category is cruciferous vegetables. And in the cruciferous vegetables, you have things like Brussels sprouts. You can see these guys. Brussels sprouts, you've got some broccoli here, got some cabbage, and I've got baby bok choy. You can do the big bok choy or baby. And in this cruciferous family, these are sulfur containing foods. You can also get some onions, garlic. All those contain sulfur. Even mushrooms could be in that list. Try to work up to 2 cups of each of these three categories: dark leafy greens, rainbow, and cruciferous and sulfur containing foods. So work up to 2 cups per day of each category, ideally. If you're not at having one cup of each per day, then work up to 1 cup of each and then go to your 2nd cup of each. But try to work your way into that routine. That'll really help to get the diversity of different nutrients in your body to help your health improve. Now, when you're making up a plate, ideally make 75% of your plate to be plant-based. This half is all, I've got broccoli here and I've got a salad. Over on this half, you can see it now, you've got some protein. I've got a quarter of the plate is chicken, and this quarter over here is my sweet potato. I prefer to go with more plant-based, as I said, plant-based carbohydrates for my starch, and I'll pour plenty of good healthy fats on top, like olive oil or avocado oil, or I'll put more avocado on top of my food. But that's a nice composition. 75% is plant and quarter of it, 25% is protein. When it comes to healthy protein, you want to make sure you're getting grass-fed beef, pasture-raised chickens, and wild-caught fish. So, if it's going to be ground beef or steaks, try to minimize how much red meat you get. Maybe limit that to like once a week. When it comes to fish, again, make sure you're getting wild-caught. The smaller the fish, the better. Avoid mercury in foods like, the bigger fish from the ocean. So go for ideally smaller ones. Not the albacore tuna, but go for the chunk light. You can look this up on EPA.gov and look up which fish are higher in mercury than others. Sardines and mackerel, which are really great in omega-3 fatty acids. Salmon is also really great in omega-3 fatty acids. But you just have to watch out for how much fish you have every week. So try to make sure you have one serving per week, but be careful of the mercury content. When it comes to chicken, like I said, pasture raised is the best. You know, when they say cage free, sometimes they're only opening up the cage for thousands of chickens for only a few minutes. So not necessarily, cage free doesn't necessarily mean that they're all going outside and raising themselves on pasture, you know, eating all the things out in the fields. You want to make sure they're eating things out in the fields and not just being corn fed. Corn is a big inflammatory substance, and if we're eating a lot of corn or soy, that inflammation goes into our body. Those inflammatory foods go into our body and can promote inflammation in us. Other options for protein include beans. So these are some dried beans here. You can make beans and rice. You can do beans and corn. I'm not a big fan of corn just because of that inflammatory factor. Also, corn is heavily sprayed with something called glyphosate and other chemicals. Glyphosate is one of those chemicals that is linked to certain cancers and also gut problems, leaky gut. So I really avoid corn and soy because they tend to be heavily sprayed, as well as other vegetables are too, but corn and soy are typically in that category. This is a bag of quinoa. It's probably one of the biggest bags I've ever held, but anyway, this quinoa right now is a really good, healthier grain. And rice, I have brown rice here. I'll do white or brown rice. One of the things I want to bring up is making sure that your carbohydrates are complex. Brown rice is better than white rice in the sense that it's a lower glycemic food. It's going to increase your blood sugar at a slower rate than, say, white rice would, or than other, processed, refined flour foods. So like refined wheat, enriched wheat when it comes to noodles or breads, those are going to spike your blood sugar faster. Obviously, things like sugary foods, sweets, candies, cakes, pies, ice cream, those are so high in sugar. We really want to avoid all those artificial foods as well as high sugar, high carbohydrate foods because that's going to increase your blood sugar, increase your insulin. That promotes inflammation, and that also promotes, in women, it promotes a lowered estrogen level if you have too high insulin for too long. In men, that promotes a lower testosterone. So those are really important issues with regard to preconception care. Lastly, what do I put on this food? What do I put on this meal? I have avocado oil. I have organic olive oil, and I have some of this apple cider vinegar. That's what I'll put on my salad. So I'll pick an oil, I'll pick a vinegar, and then I certainly will get creative with these nutrients. I'll utilize different spices. I'll use oregano, basil, I'll use dill, I'll use cilantro, parsley, garlic, ginger, and I'll really mix it up depending on what I'm hungry for. But this gives you a good idea of where to start. If you incorporate that 75%, 25% rule in every plate, so 25% is your protein, 75% is your plant-based, I think that's really going to help you and your spouse to get really healthy and get your nutrient level up. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you're interested in further advice, further guidance, we do a lot of blood work, a lot of testing to see maybe if you have food sensitivities, if you're reacting to certain foods, if you have issues with gluten, with dairy, or other potentially autoimmune or inflammatory reactions with regard to your diet. Potentially leaky gut issues could be at play, or just intestinal imbalances in terms of composition of bacteria. There's a lot of things that could be going wrong with the digestive tract. And on the chiropractic side of things, we look at helping the system to work better, help improve communication between your gut and your brain, and your brain and your gut, obviously, so to allow proper digestion to happen. So if you're interested in our guidance, our support, reach out to us. We'd be happy to offer you that help.